I gotta say, it's a really good sign if a show makes me want to binge watch it from beginning to end in one day or one night. Love and Death is an amazing and really impactful, tense show that haven't seen in a while now. And for it to be coming out and for it to have the story that it does and have the whole resolution that has happened with it, it's really amazing to see like television at its finest here. Love and Death stars Elizabeth Olsen as Candy Montgomery, a conservative lady from Texas who ends up having an affair with a man named Alan Gore in the same small town that they're both in. Eventually, wife finds out about what's going on, and soon a whole investigation happens because Alan Gore's wife ends up dead. A lot of the performances in the show were great, especially Elizabeth Olsen as Candy, because you could really tell how much she fell in love with Alan Gore, and she was able to portray exactly her emotions and having these tense situations going on, how straightforward Candy was at the time. You know, she just straight up goes up to Alan Gore and says, "Hey, do you want to have an affair with me?" Like, not even today women tend to do things like that. For it to be happening back in the 70s is a crazy thing to see. So you can really tell how much she really wanted to find a relationship with Alan Gore. At first, they're really establishing how the affair is gonna go, what is exactly gonna happen, but you soon to realize that no matter how much you plan emotions or what you think is gonna happen or what's gonna happen on the other side of this, you never know exactly what the outcome is gonna be. It's two individuals in two really bad spots in their marriages, and it's just a perfect moment for them to come together and try to fill in the gaps where their marriage just don't. The dynamic between them starts off a little bit shy, but over the days and over the weeks as they actually start doing the affair, you can really start to see the relationship develop between them and them to really start falling in love. In the beginning, they tell each other that we should, as soon as we start feeling any emotions for each other, we should eventually just stop it in its tracks. But in the reality of it, stopping something like that in its tracks is a very difficult thing, and you can really tell them struggling with the fact that they're about to fall in love with each other. They even tell each other, "Hey, I think I'm falling in love with you," when you as a viewer can see that that might had already happened between each other, because you get to see the jealousy in Candy and a lot of the moments where he gets to speak about his wife Betty Gore. And a lot of the moments, even when he breaks it off with her, she gets so intensely jealous about how that might affect her. And she's like, "Well, what about me? What about how I feel?" You know? And you can really tell how deep she's gone into it. Whereas Alan Gore, I don't know if he was so deep into the relationship or he cared more about his wife, especially because they were working on things in their own home. Whereas Candy would go home and it was still kind of a dysfunctional family going on there. You could see the difference between the two households, where one household is really trying to get better and the other household is just one person trying to figure out the relationship while the other person is just kind of lost in the wind there. They're really able to portray the two differences between them, even though they met up in the same place and ended up doing the same thing with each other and cheated and had that affair. You could see the dynamic between how they both kind of handle that situation. But even though they would go back to their families, they still had that sense of love for each other. They still had those intimate feelings with one another. But for Alan Gore, it was a little bit easier, it seemed, that he could just get up and move on. Whereas Candy was fully invested, was fully in love, and she was fully like, I don't even know if she knew exactly where the relationship was going to go or what they were going to do, because it didn't get to that point. But it did get to the point where you could tell that she had fell in love with him. At first, it started off with sex, and then it started off to have with deep conversations with each other, and that's when it really started to fuel. That's when it really things started to go crazy. Is when they started to share deep, intimate secrets about one another, and also sharing about each other's relationship to one another, and having that feeling of like, I feel safe with this person. I feel like I can talk to this person. This person's giving me what my husband isn't giving me. This person is giving me what my wife isn't giving me. And it's like they're just feeding off each other, one another, and doing it in the worst possible way. Even though they look like they're having the time of their lives, and the reality of it, they don't understand how much they're going to be hurting each other's spouses. But because Candy got so deep into it, even though she said it, even before Alan said, "Hey, I think I'm gonna fall in love with you," Candy had already had felt those feelings, and she kept pushing past it. When the breakup happened between them and Alan decided to go to the marriage encounter with his own wife, Candy was already deep into love with him. And you can really tell that, because look at the way she reacted towards him telling him, "I cannot see you no more. I don't want to be with you no more. I'm going to focus with my family." How angry she got about it. how frustrated she got about that. She was so deep into it already, whereas Alan, it was a little bit more easier. It was more the fact that he was more interested in his family. He said, you know what, let me snap out of it and let me get realistic here. I can't continue this relationship with this person because it's taking away a lot from my own family, my own sex drive with my own wife. And he's like, you know what? I need to stop this now because the love for my wife is way more than the love that is growing for Candy. And especially they're both married. And it's like having that realization for one another. It's like, what are you going to do there? Like, what exactly is going to happen there? Whereas Candy was just almost blinded by the love, blinded by the emotion. And it was a really bad entanglement that they had with each other. And instead of cutting it off where they, as soon as they felt emotions, they kept going and going and going and getting really selfish with it. And this is where the moments where Elizabeth Olsen did an amazing job in portraying that, had an amazing job at like showing, hey, I'm this vulnerable character, loving character who also falls easy, is very emotional, and she was able to portray that in each scene, and that was amazing. I could not have seen better acting in a long time like that. Like, especially seeing her from WandaVision to now, it's like, whoa, like she did a fantastic job. Every time she looked at Alan Gore, it almost, you could tell that she felt love for him. She felt this like passion for him. It was amazing, like just her entire way that she fell into that character. It was a great viewing experience, and she killed it this time around, like no pun intended, but she really did that job. She really went above and beyond for this role, and I can't wait to see what more she brings to the table later down the road. But I was really impressed by that with each scene when they were falling in love with each other, and the way she looked at him, the way she held him, the way she kind of was vulnerable in his arms. Like, it was fantastic how she did that. Like, even the crying scenes and the jealousy that came out of her when they wanted to break up, and seeing him with his wife and her asking him, how's your relationship going, but almost feeling like, hey, like, I hope it's not doing good, because, you know, it's kind of F you to you if you continue that relationship with her, because I still kind of love you and I still want to be with you. And it's like, you know, that jealousy that was brewing inside of her. When her husband finds the car in there, and she goes up to her friend who has been supportive and all this stuff. And it's like, hey, is she cheating on me? And the friend actually tells him what's actually going on, which I was actually surprised about that, because I really thought she was going to cover for him, but she really did. I mean, you got to think about it. She was in a hard spot there. It's like, do I be honest about this should I lie about this? Like, no, I'm going to be honest about what's been going on here, but also be supportive to Candy. And when he found that out, it's like, no way, the secret has been uncovered. And it shows how little they even, like, why did she even keep that? Like, she still had fond memories of those times. And that was the mistake that she made. If they wanted to get away with it, is not keeping memorabilia, not keeping those type of things that are of that time, but because she still felt really involved with him, she still felt love with him, even after everything that have happened. It was like, man, she almost set herself up to fail right there, and it was bad. It was a really bad thing when he found out, and that's when everything started. And also, the wife started to feel like, Alan Gore's wife started to kind of have a little bit of thoughts about what's going on, because Candy would go to their house, and the way they were speaking to each other and having these looks, like, you could really tell the chemistry between them that was going on. It was really hard to miss that. So it almost like the emotional state that they wanted to avoid in the beginning was the thing that caused all this. The thing that got them found out was the chemistry that was kind of glowing from each other. I thought that was great. I thought that they were both able to portray that in a super amazing way, and it was great seeing that. You know, that's what really got me addicted to the show, is that I just wanted to see what happened. I wanted to see exactly what's going to happen with these couple. I want to see what's going to happen with the marriage. Things get really crazy when Alan Gore's wife ends up asking Candy if they were having an affair. Like, that moment, that scene was so intense. It was like, you could really tell she had something on her mind. The fact that she's been noticing all these hints, the fact that she's been noticing all these little things with her husband and Candy, it was like, let me just confront this woman. Let me see what she says. Oh my God, dude. Elizabeth Olsen killed it, man. She killed that scene. It was a great scene. If you guys have not watched it, I cannot wait for you to go and see that exact scene. But it was amazing the way she did that. Like, she got caught and she was in the moment, and she was like, Yeah, and the trembling in her voice saying, "Yes, I did have an affair with your husband, but it was only that long ago. It wasn't that long ago, or it was a long time ago," she said. And it was like, no way, man. Like, what is going to happen here? The honesty, you could tell that she did not want to be honest about what's been going on, but the husband found out. The wife has been having these like clues that's been bothering her, and for it to now all come down to this point right now is it was super intense. For Betty to go back there and have this an emotional outbreak for somebody like her who has like an OCD about her emotions and has like almost this like weird like obsessive nature about something bad is going to happen to her and having this fear about everything, and for her all her fears to come true in that moment and her to react that way, it was only bound to happen. So as soon as she got that axe, I was like, no way, man, what's about to happen here, bro? Is she going to kill her? What's going to happen, man? Because we've been hinted through the entire show about this bloody scene, about this like bath and stuff, and now we're finally here. What is going to happen? What happened in the circumstances? And we don't get to see it in that episode. She kind of just walks away, and you kind of have like a little bit of like foreshadowing of exactly what happened. But oh man, like they struggled, they fought with each other, and to be honest, I gotta with Candy, she was kind of self defending herself, whereas like Betty was attacking her. She was so afraid of losing her own husband, and for some crazy reason, like it meant so much to her that she could not lose her husband, that she attacked her with her own axe. And it's like, what was Candy supposed to do? She was supposed to defend herself. And when Candy walks away after the horrendous thing that had happened, Elizabeth Olsen just acting her ass off, man, like just almost not even understanding what happened, not even wanting to admit to herself that this thing that just really happened. Let me just go about my day trying to convince herself, is this real? Like, I kind of know what I did, but I'm gonna act as if I did. Like, how does someone even walk away from doing something like that? That had to be the most craziest thing if that happened in real life. And it didn't take long for the husband to be calling the home and being like, "Hey, where's my wife? Where's my wife?" Calling everybody, go check on my wife. I don't know what Candy was thinking when she went just home and was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna like, I'm just gonna go about my normal day. Like, that's insanity. The fact that she just went about her normal day and left the freaking baby in there. And when they finally found them, it's like it was such a gruesome scene, and everybody was just in there. I wonder if they really allowed people to be in scenes like that back in the day, because the fact that there were so many people in there, even one of the cops commented, "Hey, so every people are just gonna contaminate the evidence here? Are we just gonna allow that to happen?" That's so true. It's like, you can't do that nowadays. You can't just have a bunch of neighbors inside the house smoking cigarettes. No freaking way, dude. The denial in Candy, the denial of herself, the denial of her own actions, the fact that she even like denied it to the very like moment that she had to tell her lawyer, is that I didn't even think she was gonna open up. That was a surprising thing that I didn't really assume that was gonna happen, but when it did, I was like so surprised. I guess she was so desperate, and it showed really the reality of who Candy was that like, hey, I did this horrible thing, I feel really bad about it, and I'm gonna be honest about it because we need to figure out how to get out of this, because I need to, she had her own family, to deal with, her own husband. They were finally trying to figure it out after before all this stuff happened, and for it to all come down in that way, I mean, what is it? It's just like, it is your own family. You're gonna try to protect yourself. You're gonna try to make it alive, and that's what she did. Is have that self defense thing. It's like, I'm not gonna die here. Man, this show is so fantastic. This show is amazing. I had such a great time watching it. The emotions, the intensity, the chemistry, everything was so good in the show. I advise you guys to watch it, man. And one of the last things I want to touch on here is, wow, man, that lawyer guy was super great. He was super good. I did not know he was even gonna be like that, man. Like, you got to see him in the beginning of the shows, but he turned it up quickly in that second half, almost to the end of the show. Like, man, that lawyer, whoever played that lawyer guy, Don Crowder, oh my god, bro, props to him, because he did a fantastic job in this show. The way that he was like determined, the way he found out that, hey, she was honest with him, and he found out, and he just went back into action, said, we got to do this and this and that to clean up your image. And the fact that he was just like on and on top of it, and throughout the whole jury scene, the whole like things they were doing with the evidence. What a smart, intelligent guy to say, you know what, we need to figure out and go to the hypnosis in Houston and try to figure out what's going on with you. I don't know what we're gonna do with this information, what exactly we're gonna do with all of this, but I'm gonna figure out how to use it. And the fact that he did figure out how to use it, he was able to use it and leverage it into court. Wow, man, he did a great job, and the actor did a phenomenal job, man. And I think that's all I really want to touch on. There's so much more I want to talk about, but I just don't want to. It's kind of spoilery at this point. I really want you guys to kind of see it for yourself. Go check out the show. And if you have checked out the show, kind of leave a comment down below what you thought about the whole case, what you have thought about the whole show. Did you enjoy it? Did you dislike it? I know there was a show on Hulu that a lot of people watched before this, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go watch that myself. I think I enjoy this one so much. I'm just going to keep it here. And that's it, man. If you enjoy this video, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you smash that sub button. And with that being said, hope you guys have a great day. Peace.